Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us, Nicolette Halladay, the CEO and founder of Inspired Hearts Publishing. And today I am so excited because, for two reasons, our book, The Voyage and the Return, The Path to Self-Discovery, is live and available on Amazon. Woo! And Allison is one of the co-authors, and she is hopping on to share a little bit about what she's written in her book, the work that she's doing, and just have a fun conversation. So, welcome, Allison.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here and just to be chatting about the book and everything. It's been such a wonderful process sharing this story. And so now it's like, holy cow, it's finally here and out to people and can have the reach that it's meant to have. So
That's right.
I'm
That's
so
right. It's
excited.
so exciting. And I'm just so happy to get to facilitate this container that is really bringing these stories from women like you and the other contributors, really such vulnerable and really deeply connected stories of personal transformation. And so before we get started, tell us a little bit about you and the work that you do in the world.
Yeah. So I'm Allison Krawiec-Thayer, but KT is much easier to say. So I'm Allison KT, and I am in the Colorado area. And I'm a spiritual business mindset coach for highly sensitive and empathic entrepreneurs because I've really realized when I was starting my business, as I mentioned in my chapter, thought it was going to go one way, received a lot of business advice, and it just didn't really work for me. And I found out really that being a highly sensitive person, being really empathic, it kind of adds another flavor to entrepreneurship and putting yourself out there. There's like a whole other host of fun internal mindset pieces. And so I'm really passionate about helping those people because I believe that ideas are put on our hearts for a reason, and sometimes we get in our own way and don't feel the confidence to step out and share it or feel the worthiness to share it. So I really love helping people just find that wild part of themselves, to be confident and to share what they're here to share. So
I love it. I love it. And I think there's something so valuable about being that heart-centered, purpose-driven entrepreneur. And even though we do can get caught in some of these things over here that weren't expected, we're so emotionally connected to our work and it's really personal. There's all this richness that comes on the other side of it, right?
Definitely. 100%. I mean, as I've tapped into just the worthiness piece and like the self-love and the whole, like, this is my purpose and passion, like that's been transformational for me. And I see that with my clients all the time too, when they have that moment of like, whoa, I am really like gifted in this. I could share this with people. Like facilitating that is just such a blessing.
Yes, absolutely. For anyone who is hopping on live, I'm using StreamYard and it doesn't always show the comments. So if you leave a comment, please say hello and we'll make sure to circle around you in the comments after the interview. But thank you so much for joining, and we would love for you to say hello and ask any questions or share in the conversation today. So Allison, share just a tidbit. You kind of did in your introduction, but if you want to share just a little bit more about your chapter, and kind of what you shared in the book.
Yeah. So my chapter is really the story of something happening that I could and couldn't explain at the same time. It was this paradigm. And basically, what happened and what the chapter is really about is my higher self stepping in to save my life. And it's really, like I mentioned earlier, I was working on starting a business, and I had this real belief in my head, like, this is the answer. This is what I'm supposed to do. Because I had come out of college, I had worked in corporate, And I just felt that drain of like, there's more for me, there's more for me. And then as I share in my chapter, coaching came into my life in a really powerful way. And so I had this story of like, oh, coaching is it. It's the answer. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I really found a way to go all in on my business, and it didn't go to plan. And the generally sunshiny, cheerful Allison kind of faded away. And I was really just in a deep place of depression, a deep place of anxiety and dissociating and just not feeling present, not feeling capable. And in that moment, the thought of not being alive anymore started to cross my mind. And it was this overwhelming, like, wait a second, what is happening? And in that moment, it was almost like my physical form fell asleep, went away, and this higher self version of me stepped in and like navigated me through to safety. And so the chapter really gets into that, the experience of, being half asleep, but kind of seeing myself like packing up my bag and being like, oh, I need to take the shoestrings out of my shoes because I'm going to inpatient. And like, having these things that's like, how did I possibly know that? And I just felt this safety and this peace of like, you're okay, we're going to be fine. And through that, the message has just been that there's more for me and that there's work yet to do for me in life. And so the chapter really just kind of has those themes as well about just we're here for a purpose. And when it crossed my mind to check out of that, my higher self was like, let me get you through this.
I got you. Yes. So thank goodness. Thank God for your higher self. And really, I mean, I think you have to pay some tribute to the work that you had done to get to that point, because obviously, that even though you had found yourself in this really desperate and, state of depression, you had this foundation of knowing and being connected to your higher self, which I think something is to a lot of people in our society, they've never had that connection or even know that that's available to them, right? So I think one of the things I want to touch on, because I think it's so valuable, is this idea that entrepreneurship, coaching, spiritual development, more in this sphere, and it's not always rainbows and sunshine, right?
Definitely not. I would say that, that could have like massively derailed me. And it actually did for a bit. I wasn't ready to go back to entrepreneurship right away. I went into inpatient and like found healing, started working with a therapist, and really just like built upon this foundation of tools that I had to kind of see where I would go. But it wasn't entrepreneurship at that point. I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I'm
burned out on this. So so thank you so much for sharing such a vulnerable piece of your journey with us in this book. And for anyone who hasn't had a chance to grab a copy, make sure to do that. I will make sure to add the links to Amazon. Grab your copy, read Allison's chapter. I promise you bring your Kleenex, because it is a tearjerker, and she really brings you right into those moments where she was really grappling with these challenges that she was facing. And I know that a lot of you are going to see yourself in, some of what she experienced. So thank you so much. How has that experience and what you shared in your chapter, how has it really influenced the work that you're doing with your clients today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it has really, really impacted it because I always take this kind of human-centered approach to business. And there's, some other coaches that I follow who are also in that realm, but it's very much this idea that like you are a person separate from your business. And so I acknowledge that I'm a person with depression, I'm a person with anxiety, and like sometimes that doesn't line up with what the narrative about entrepreneurship is. And there's all of the talk of like, oh, you need to be consistent, you need to post this and this and this, and like, yes, there's power in showing up and all of that, but I really find that I have shifted to like being in my devotion with it and letting that kind of direct it. Cause like I have to realize I'm a person who sometimes has anxiety. And so I bring that to my relationship with clients where I'm not necessarily like, you should be doing this or like, you need to post this many times. It's sort of like, you're a person and let's create a business that feels in alignment with you and feels safe to you. Because that was the big thing. Like business did not feel safe to me when I was starting out and when I like was experiencing what I wrote in my chapter. Like I had fears about making money. I had fears about being seen, like so many big things. And so now I just have this understanding of like, that's a piece of it. And it's okay if it doesn't come naturally or you don't experience overnight success like you think you should. And so I bring that into my work all the time with clients now. And it was really shaped by experiencing what I went through.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. And I think it's so valuable because there's hardly any overnight success. Like for people who think there's overnight success, those people who even look like an overnight success have been working on something for 10 years before actually coming on to the scene or founding this specific, niche or whatever it is. So, and I also just want to say that even though entrepreneurship can be so challenging and it has all of these facets for us to grow, it really is an amazing container for our own personal development. And it promises you that you will, there's this depths of experiences and richness to be had through these containers. And so I don't want to scare you off too bad if you're like someone who has
the best decision I've ever made. I love being an entrepreneur.
Yes, I know.
I live my dream life every day. It's all good.
Yes. And so I want to just like pivot now to the value in having mentorship, because I think there is such value in having mentorship, especially when you're an early entrepreneur, when you're just getting started. There's so many things that we are trained and taught in our education systems and in our societies, and not all of those things really translate into entrepreneurship, to be honest with you. And you see people that it looks like it's easy and it feels like it should be easy, and there's so many places to grow and develop. So what's your advice for someone who's like maybe just getting started, or maybe just at a plateau, or just in this place where it's like, yeah, I think bringing on a mentor is a really great place, would be a really great thing for me to do in this time. Like, what's your best advice for someone who is looking for someone, and how to best find someone who is going to be in alignment with them and their vision and mission?
Yeah, I love that question because I think that is an important consideration, is like, finding the right coach for you is an important thing. Like, with a therapist, with a partners, all of these kinds of things, like it's really important to have that chemistry. And so, I like to look at, and I definitely got distracted by like the big box coaching worlds of like, which is great. It was great for me at that point to like learn a lot of skills and be like, oh, this is what an email funnel is. And like, this is what this is. But when it came to some of that mindset stuff for me, I was like, okay, I need somebody closer to me. I need somebody who's like talking to me. And so it's really about realizing, and then, I know people who they want to figure it out on their own, and like that's where they are. And so like maybe rock the course world for a while, self-learn. But like when it comes to finding that person, I think it's just, it is like talking to them and really thinking about what you want. The thing I would say is that you're giving yourself a very powerful message when you invest in a mentor. Like, I will unabashedly share this number, but like I invested close to $20,000 in my own mentors last year. And like I know people who invest that per quarter. I know people who would be terrified about that number. Like it's literally just a number. But to me, that says like, okay, Allison, you have something here. You deserve to go all in on this. You deserve to like be supported and like have your best chance, like, or your best support around you for the success. Because, you know, like we shared, it isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but like now I have like 4 group chats with like, you know, masterminds I'm in and things like that can like pick me up on those challenging days. Or I have that coach that I can brainstorm with. So I think, you know, if you're struggling with it, like think about that message you're telling yourself of like, I am worthy of going all in on this and getting that support.
There's nothing like pulling the Band-Aid off than making a big investment in a mentor or some kind of because honestly, it's like, okay, now I'm betting on myself. I'm going all in on me, my business. I believe it. I believe in what I am doing, and I'm willing to put the money, I'm putting the money where my mouth is, so to speak. So there's definitely value in just that initial, just doing the initial investment. There is such power in our ability to invest in ourselves. And then, it's like, okay, we're all in now. And, you have to show up in a way that maybe you haven't before. And that's a lot of times for mentorship for me, it's moving out, when we're in that growth phase, when we're moving from this place to this place, it's uncomfortable. It can feel challenging and we bump up against a lot of things. And having someone really holding space for that growth has been so, so, so valuable. So I know you can relate and agree with that. So, so if someone happens to be in the market for a mentor, a business mentor, they're like, oh my gosh, I kind of, I'm really liking what Allison is saying. Tell us a little bit about like your best, person. Who do you love to work with? Who's a great candidate for someone who might partner with you in business?
Yeah, I love and have a special affinity for the people pleasers of the world who are, starting their business, but are so worried about like, what are they going to think? And like, what if I'm too much? And like also the kind of spiraler, because I was these things. That's why I relate to these things so much. Like the spiraler of like, oh gosh, but if I do this, then I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to figure out. And like that, like, I love coming in and just inviting the ease in that space. So if you're a person,
I've had those tendencies in the past. So luckily I have moved through a lot of that, but absolutely can relate. And I love that you're like, oh my gosh, let me bring some relief to you because I've been there and I know.
I live my life by the like, how can this be as fun as possible? Like, I love thinking about my business as like a massive playground. And it's like, I want to build a trampoline. Okay. Like, now I want to go over here. And like, this is like, so it's fun. It gets to be fun.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons it's funny. And what happens in businesses, you really attract the people who are in kind of a similar energetic and in mindset space. And so that's why I have so much fun producing these multi-author books, because I attract the most amazing, like, let's keep it easy. Let's have fun. How can we make this great? Those kinds of questions popping up all the time from me and from the contributors. And it just creates this really, really fun space to be able to share in. So, so thanks so much. Thank you for being here. And so, I guess my one last question, I want to circle back to the book. So what kind of made you decide, okay, I want to share my story and this is the book that I definitely want to share my story in?
So I've told bits and pieces of this story a number of times, like on a podcast, a few questions, or like in a blog post, but like I had never really given it the space to like let the full story unfold. And so that was always kind of a desire I had, was like, let me just get this story in one place where I can like have it and it exists. And then I saw the proposed cover of the book,
Mm.
and it was like a spitting image of like a photo shoot I had had like 2 or 3 weeks before. And I was like, my photo, it looks like I'm in the cover of this book. Like this, oh my gosh. And I've also always really related to voyages and like just that journey. And I've always thought about how that experience impacted me as a journey. And so, I mean, it felt so in alignment with just like, this is the place for me to share this story and to, direct people whenever I'm like telling the story. And then, also knowing all of the other like powerful authors who are in it and just kind of feeling that synergy of like what could come from all of these stories together and like getting to be involved in that. So that was definitely really what like drew me in.
Yeah. I love it so much. And there is such power in collaboration and connection. And it's just incredible when like, 17 incredible dynamic
Yeah.
women come together to share a piece of their heart with the world. It's truly it's something that you can't really understand until you experience it for yourself. I say that and it almost sounds like a cliche, but it's really, really the truth. So anyone who hasn't had a chance to pick up the copy, please make sure to grab a digital copy of the book, The Voyage and the Return. Help us rank through Amazon's bestseller in as many categories as possible. We're going all the way here. And of course, the paperback will be available in the coming weeks, but this is our first initiative and we can't wait for you to read the stories. Read Allison's story and leave her a review. I know it would mean the world to her. It would mean the world to me. It helps Amazon know this book is a valuable book and other people need to read it, so it gets it out in front of more and more people. Thank you to everyone who has shown up in support of us, has left reviews, has purchased the digital copy, has shared on your own social media. It's humbling and just truly honored to have you in my life. And so thank you everyone. Thank you, Allison. And we will be continuing with other authors who I'll be interviewing other authors throughout the week. So if you want to get a sneak peek and get to know a little bit about them better, make sure to tune in. And that's all for me today. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure, Allison, I'll make sure to get your details so people can connect with you. But you can also do that in the book. So buy the book and you'll be able to find Allison. Okay. Thanks, ladies. Bye, everyone.